All right, first let's let's do something like this. System out Okay, so here I'm using this printf, and notice I haven't done anything, and printf is not going to give me a new line. So if I were to run that, it will, it just said enter something, but then notice that this, which normally would be down here, isn't there because I didn't put a new line there. That's okay, because what I want to do is I want to use my scanner. So let's, again, just by being, I'm going to separate declaration from assignment. Okay, so now here's something that is very useful from the IDE. Okay, first of all, I got the red squiggly of death here. And if I hover over it, it should tell me, it says, cannot find symbol class scanner. Okay, so why can't it find the symbol? Because it's in a package that I can't see yet. And remember, whenever you see that, there's usually a little light bulb to the left there. So you hover on that. And in fact, if I click on it, it gives me some options. So here are some options. It says the user has defined a class that Java doesn't know about, or at least so far. I have three options. I can add an import for Java util scanner. That's the one I want. Or I can create my own. I can create a class called scanner here, or I can create a class. Actually, it gives me the option of creating a class inside this class, which I usually don't want. In this case, I just want to add an import. And if that doesn't work, or if I have a bunch of these, if I just right-click on a blank space and say fix imports, then, okay, now see what it does? It says import Java util scanner. And when it found it, now no red squiggly of death. Now, for those of you who have used C or C++, this may look like an include. And in fact, of all the things in Java, this is probably the worst named name of anything, because it doesn't import anything. It doesn't include anything. All it says is allow this class to use the name scanner in an unqualified way. That's all it does. It doesn't import anything. It doesn't include anything. So it's just very badly named. So just understand that. Anyway, red squiggly is gone. And so now I can, now notice that, see how many constructors I have? I got lots of them. Okay, but here I've chosen to give it the system in, right? And so with that now, okay, remember next is going to give me okay, so what this is going to do is this is going to say, okay, this is going to say enter something. It's going to read the thing that I enter, and then it will say you entered this. Okay, so if it works, then Okay, so now enter something. Now here's what I have to do. I have to actually sort of click in here, because this this panel they call output is basically, if we were running on the command line, this is what we would be doing. If I so I need to click on here. So okay, so enter something. I said something, and it read it. Okay, so now it's going to say, all right, now give me an integer. Give me an int. Okay. Oops. All right, so do you see what happened? What happened was I used next instead of next line, and it tried to read. I was too clever. So okay, so where is? Oops. Where did? All right, so now let's enter an integer. Let's enter an integer, and it can read the integer that I entered. To avoid what I did there, let's change this to next line. If I read the next line, then now I can do what I was trying to do before. So okay, so now ids. All right, so now here's a little thing. Now, notice I entered a really big integer and it just kind of glommed them all out. Remember I said that one of the reasons for printf is for the formatting. If I put a little comma here, what that's going to do is, okay, oops. You see why we use longs here. So okay, so I wanted to illustrate that. Notice how easy it was to overflow ints. If I wanted to make sure that wasn't the case, what I could do is okay. All right, so here is I'm going to give it some gobbledygoo. So here's an integer. I'll give it an integer. Now here, let's add a big number here. And as a long, it can handle a much bigger one. So if there's again, for normal things, you can kind of count on, ints generally tend to work. Here, I could just kind of put in whatever. The lesson is that if you're interacting with a user, then you might want to put some constraints on what the user can kind of put in. You've all seen forms, for example, where you start typing some stuff and it constrains what you can put in, like things from like a telephone number. You start putting numbers in. It'll only let you put the 10 digits in or something like that. Okay, so what have we done here? Just one last thing is that scanner. Just in general, whenever we're dealing with things that interact with the file system, we generally want to make sure we close all of our resources, and that's also true of scanner. Once we're done with it, we want to close it because that releases the resources. In this particular case, it's not going to be a big deal, but just in general, whenever you're finished with something, you want to release it.